And we're back with another part of Everlasting Summer. Uh, I noticed a few of you might have missed out on the last part that I put up because I usually average a little more views than I normally get with this. But nevertheless, a few of you guys watched, and that's all that matters. Okay, so in case you guys did miss any, there was a part that I put up before this one. So it wasn't that long ago. Uh, about a day or so ago now that I did. So we're still in Miku's route, in case some of you guys might have forgotten. But we are approaching the latter portion of the story. Uh, a lot of things are kind of going on in it. Some crazy things, spooky things, and at the same time, a crazy looking Oyana. I have no idea what to make of that the last time I saw it, but it got a reaction out of me. That's all I gotta say. Alright, so with that, let's get on with it. In a few minutes, we were standing at the bus stop. Okay. The city is that way. Masha gestured at the horizon. And yeah, they're trying to look for a way out. They want to leave, which is completely the opposite of normally how this would be going. Everybody wants to leave, but they're not sure where they're going to go. Well, that's kind of what I said. Is like, do they even have any idea where they're going to go? So that's kind of what's going on here. It was there the day before yesterday. I agreed. Yeah, that way. Ryder confirmed. We paused in silence for a few moments and then slowly headed off towards our destination. Okay. The summer sun was unbearably scorching, making the asphalt melt. Everything a few hundred feet away, the road, the trees, the grass, the sky, was melting in a bright heat haze that looked more like a burning fog. I was streaming with sweat and was starting to think that I was getting sunstroke. Sure, it would have been a great idea to bring more water with us, but back when we were setting, only thing we could think of was getting our asses as far as possible from that damn camp. Eventually, I felt like I was about to lose consciousness. Only the thrills of the grasshoppers kept me in touch with reality. Of course, this hellish noon is indeed their favorite part of the day. They couldn't care less about the scorching heat, zero humidity, or the lack of any kind of air movement. On the contrary, they felt great. It was a perfect backdrop for the final act of their last apocalyptic symphony. We probably should have stayed in the camp after all. You think? Or at least we should have started this hike later, closer to the evening. Although wandering the unknown country road at night is hardly a good idea either. Well, it looks like daytime to me. The sound of a stifled cry came from behind me. 100 feet away, Alyssa was barely looking up Lena, holding up Lena, keeping her from collapsing to the ground. Okay, for once we're not getting any creepy eyes from you, so I guess it's more of a puzzled look to her. Or a concerned look, maybe. I dashed up to them. What's the matter? As she's fainted. Okay. I helped to carry Lena to the roadside. There was at least some shade from a small grove. And that concludes our hike, said Masha in a gloomy mood, sinking down to the grass. I warned you. Fine, but what does it change now? We've been traveling for at least a couple of hours, so thinking of heading back to the camp is pointless. Well, at least until the evening when the heat will decrease a bit. And we still haven't seen a single car. I turned around and looked around him. He pulled off his shirt and began to wring the sweat out of it. He's wearing it. But please don't talk about taking shirts off because he had a scene like that. I don't want to see another one. Alyssa was trying to revive Lena. If that's sunstroke, stop. Although they could pull their shirts up, that'd be all good for me. And wouldn't complain about that though. A man pulling his shirt up, I'm good. If that's indeed sunstroke, we've got ourselves in deep trouble. She won't make it anywhere. I walked towards the road, shielding my eyes from the sun with my hand, and stared into distance. Nothing but the same asphalt thread leading beyond the horizon with no signs of civilization. or any signs of human presence at all. It was like we're the only people left, not only in the camp, but in the whole world. Though if you think about what has happened before, it's... Phone? What the hell? Jeez, it's really not a big surprise. I hate when my phone does that. Lately. Ah. Went back to the others and sat down on the log. At least it's only a quick little glitch, but still, it gets a little bit annoying when it happens, though. It tends to break up the scene sometimes, whatever I'm in. I guess we have to scout ahead. The sad thing is, I can't edit them out. Yeah, that's what sucks about it. I tried. I looked around. So unless if I start the recording software over, which I don't feel like doing, that's the only way that I would do that. And it requires much more work than I would like to do. To check what's ahead. Maybe we could find something? Yeah, you just stay here for a while. But she can't go anywhere right now anyway. Lena was lying with her eyes closed and gasping for air. Okay, go ahead, said Masha calmly. It just occurred to me that I'd planned to have a talk with her. But it's definitely not the time for that now. Let's go. Ryder shrugged his shoulders and followed me. We kept walking for about 15 minutes. The girls were left far behind. What do you think? Any chance of us meeting somebody? He asked quietly. I don't know. I replied in an annoyed tone. I really wanted to refrain from talking now. The endless field stretched to the horizon, sparsely sprinkled with patches of trees and hills. The landscape looked so typical and tranquil that, in fact, it caused anxiety. If we'd found ourselves on the plains of hell, at least we would expect to be attacked from just anywhere, so we could brace ourselves and prepare for the worst. Now we just felt like little droplets of paint on the canvas of a nameless painter who paints the summer in central Russia. Or wherever we are now. All this only made our fear stronger. Look! Okay, yelled Ryder. Wow, that's kind of a concerned look, I gotta say. I narrowed my eyes and saw that the road took a turn. So, what's so special? There must be something there. What makes you think that? Well, since there's a turn, we've been walking straight forward all the time, and now... Okay, let's go and take a look. And in a few minutes, we finally came. Wow. Yeah, I see that. It's kind of where you first came into this place, more or least the gate anyway. To the gates of the Soviet pioneer camp. I collapsed down the curb and buried my face in my hands. I didn't feel scared. I didn't feel any emotions at all, just the fatigue and the void inside of me. What happened to you, Semyon? You don't feel anything with this part when you want to get out of here? It's like this person, whoever took over Semyon here is a completely different person than what I remember him being. It's like completely inept. It's like, I'm not feeling anything. What? What happened to all the other days you complained about this? You being here. I don't know. So I guess that's not a thing now. But how? I mumbled Ryder. No idea. Besides, what's the difference anyway? It's not like this is any stranger than anything else that's happened to me in the last few days. Okay, so that's the first time you said something here that makes sense. I looked up at him, feeling exhausted. Ryder's lips were trembling, and an expression of deathly horror was plastered on his face. Let's go back and fetch the girls. I didn't wait for him, and just shuffled off back to where we left them. Found anything? Asked Masha, chewing on some strawberries of uncertain origin. We did. A camp. What camp? She looked surprised. Our camp. What? Masha looked so silly now, so I couldn't help flashing an ironic smile. But you were going forward, not backward. Forward? And Sovietnak is there. Hey, stop joking, she exclaimed. I'm dead serious. But, said Alyssa quietly. She was sitting down on the grass and cradling the head of Lena, who was still sleeping. Yeah, just like that. I said tiredly and dropped down to the ground. Okay, it means we're heading there. I looked at Masha keenly and suddenly realized that I can't wait anymore. Hey, what's happening with you? What do you mean? Her look screamed that now isn't the time for breezy chatter. You were scared to death yesterday, yet today you have this happens to be all the time attitude. But what's the point in panicking? She cracked a barely visible smile. If I didn't know you, I went quiet, bit my lip, and turned away. But really, do I know her that well? Sure, we spent so many years together, but... What? Years? You talking about? Spent so many years. Uh... Okay, this really is throwing me off here. Uh... I don't know. Maybe this line confused me or something. It's like, you didn't know this girl that long. Did the game literally spin this up to another time period? Are they actually older than what they seem here? Uh, I'd like to know that. But then again, the way that the after the Shurick thing, where he went alone, as I said, all of a sudden, like these two had some kind of thing going with them, and it never really got addressed or explained how these two became an item. Well, if that's even a thing, I don't know, because right now the relationship seems to have been put on the back burner. Because it did seem like there was something there. They made out at one point, even had sex at one point. But since then, that was a little while ago when I did that part. Now I'm not sure exactly what's going on. They're looking for a way out of the camp, so it's kind of like everybody seems to be a part of this thing here. And as far as I know, Slavia seems to be dead. Even though I couldn't really tell who that person was. But according to all these characters, they claimed that was her disfigured. I don't know. And then we get a creepy Oyana, which that was the other puzzling thing, is that I forgot that she was even missing because it didn't really dawn on me that she wasn't around. And since Electronic is the only other guy we found, I noticed that Shurick has not popped up not one time since he originally disappeared when we went to go look for him. As far as if I can remember, but maybe I'm overlooking it somewhere. I don't know. Or rather, I always believed that she was completely satisfied, and she was always the same to me. The same at just about anything, even when we're breaking up, as if she wasn't a real person, just my favorite article of clothing. Break it up? So when did this become a thing? And when did you break up? Maybe I did catch something off here somewhere. I don't know. Thinking about it, I have no idea what's going on in her soul. I just never cared about it. Thus, her behaving like this under the circumstances doesn't seem more bizarre than anything else that's happening to us. And if you think about that talk at the beach 2 evenings ago... 2 evenings ago? Okay, so... maybe it isn't that far as what I thought. Still, that line caught me off guard. Maybe I read that wrong. I don't know. You guys tell me if they're still in the same time period or what is going on here. I don't know. She probably really is stronger than me. Hey, are you listening to me at all? Oh, sorry. I got carried away. So much has happened. She looked at me sternly. Let's get going to the camp. Or wherever you are. If that's the same old camp. Alright. In fact, it's not like we had any other choices. A few more hours in the scorching heat would only yield more casualties. But we have to carry her along. Yeah, just a sec. Let me figure it out. I found 2 fairly long and sturdy sticks in the nearby grove. Coming back, I ordered Router to take his shirt off. Good lord. That did not sound right. You ordered? Why would you ask him to do that anyway? And I hope you're using this shirt for the right reason, though. He tried to object, but soon enough he realized that there was no use in arguing. Good lord. You want to strip a man naked? Is that what you want to do here? I don't know. I guess I heard of worse things out there, but I don't know. I took off my shirt as well. We made made a sort of a stretcher attaching the fabric to the poles. Oh my goodness, just reading this just sounds so wrong. I don't know. Just think of this line here, the previous line, and my reaction to what was stated here. I took off my shirt as well. First, he wanted to undress the other guy, and then attaching the fabric to the poles. Think of that. Just think of this as some other kind of pole, and not whatever they're talking about. Which I'm pretty sure what my mind is thinking of is not what's going on in the game. But I don't know. The way that just sounded, though, just I don't know, it just sounded so wrong. I don't know, so awkward, I should say. With a hold. Masha gave our device a questioning look, but ultimately gave it a few strong pulls, ensuring its strength and smiled. It will, at least until we reach the camp. I gotta say, but that's always been my thing too. Sometimes the way I read dialogue sometimes always comes out the wrong way. My thinking, I don't know. My thinking goes off in the deep end sometimes. It was hard to go in this heat, but it was even harder to carry the injured. That is Lena. Several times I almost fainted and barely caught myself halfway to the ground. That'd be funny if Electronic actually had a route in this. Wouldn't that be kind of interesting? I think it clanted, what was it? The guy's best friend actually had a route in that, as far as I'm aware. Yeah, it's a gay route, too. I think Tomoya realizes that he's gay or something. I can't remember how it all went, but the only thing is there was no H scene in it, no hentai scene or anything like that. But still, it's kind of like I remember seeing it like a long time ago, like when I started getting into VNs and stuff at the time, and uh, when I went down a walkthrough, and I had about a walkthrough of the game or whatever it was, he had a route in it, and it's like try to go through. It was kind of interesting, but a little bit challenging. But there's some laughs along the way. They say it's a route that's not really not meant to take that serious, but it's just kind of funny to me. I don't know. I guess I'm kind of glad there wasn't no kind of a scene like that. There's no way I would have done it because that's why I looked it up originally when I wanted to do the game at the time. But Masha and Alyssa were swapping places with him every now and then. Still, my pride would allow me to ask them to carry Lena even for a minute. Sure, it's silly to act like this under these circumstances, but I couldn't help myself. I bet. This is yet another flaw in my personality, along with coldness and attentiveness to the others, even my loved ones, and other less than noble traits. Okay. Finally, we somehow made it to the camp gates, and I collapsed to the ground in the shadow of the unknown pioneer statue, completely worn out. It actually is our camp. Masha lingered on the words. You just now figured that out. And indeed, it looks the same. We have to carry her to a cabin. Alyssa mentioned quietly. Yeah. I got up with considerable effort and prepared for the last run. The obvious choice was Olga Dmitriyevna's cabin. We haven't seen her in a while, though. I just kind of noticed. Most likely because we managed to come through the last night here without major problems. At least we are still alive. Although, one thing that when she is in this part, she's even more bitchy than usual, from what I've noticed. Me and Rada were sprawled exhausted on one bed, and the girls were undressing Lena on the other. Oh my goodness. Can I see this undressing going on? I like the end of, I like this line. The other one, I can care less about. I like the idea of this undressing part. Don't look. You're giving me that look. Why did I figure it would be her, right? I don't know. Said Masha sternly. Good lord. It's not like there's anything worth looking at. What? I want to see. I'll make that judgment for myself. Figure out if there's anything worth looking at. Maybe you might like to. Maybe you might like to look at a bird's chest. Talking about electronic back there, but I'd rather look at something that has some fresh fruit. You know. I don't know. I snorted and turned away, giving Ryder a harsh poke in the ribs, making him follow my lead. We're gonna get some water, and probably rummage through the canteen too. It's dangerous to go alone.
Want to come along? Well, you guys are supposed to be a couple. Now I don't know what happened. Uh, I'm not sure what's going on. She grinned, but I mean, yeah, that's kind of what I thought I was coming in here for. But this route has kind of been a little all over the place, you know. So one minute it looks like these two are together, and the next minute I can't figure out what's what. I don't know. But it's been all interesting since I started this route, so I don't know. It's definitely different from all the rest that I've played, anyway. I guess that somewhat could be a good thing or a bad thing, I guess, depending on how you look at it. No thanks. At least take that pipe with you. I said uncertainly. Do you really think it will help? Wow, that's a different face. Okay. So, you're not winking at us this time. So, is this more of your, like, yawn kind of expression? Like, you look like you're tired, you want to yawn? I don't know. Just something that kind of came to mind with this look here. I sighed heavily and closed my eyes. Well, be careful then.
The door closed after a second. You asleep? Rada's whisper which reached me, as if one could sleep here. All at once I heard Lena moan from the other bed. I sat up on my elbows and looked at her. Lena was tossing and turning under the blanket. Suddenly she opened her eyes and abruptly turned to face me. Oh boy, why do we get this type of grid with you? So, you get in the camera screen and this is the face you give us. A devil's grin was frozen on her face. I see that. Let me guess. Is this devil's grin because of what Miku said back here? About don't peek kind of thing? Was that what's going on here? You gotta give me the eye because I was thinking of looking at I don't know. I don't know. Now thinking of that, you getting undressed might make me rethink about looking over there. It's like, I don't know. If you give me this kind of look, I might not want to look at that. It might kill me in my sleep if I go to do that. I don't know. The one I saw yesterday evening. The same one, I should say. Hot enough for you, eh? And that, you saying this doesn't sound like you at all. It sounds like somebody else has took it over your body or something that says, you know what, I'll say this line for you. I don't know. She burst into laughter. I felt a shiver run down my spine. My ability to speak vanished. I mean, it's nice to see a different side of her a little bit. Her open up a little more. I mean, that's kind of what you want to see is like different personalities a little bit. But I don't know. You do kind of get used to somebody a certain way, though. But you know, I always say I guess they can't stay that way the whole time. You know, you. What? Asked Ryder through his sleep. I turned to him sharply. Look. I waved my hands, pointed at Lita's bed. Okay. What? He got up and looked where I was pointing first, then back at me. I turned and just saw Lena sleeping peacefully. Did you hear it? What? Her. Lita was awake and said, oh, it seems like you've got sunstroke too. He turned towards the wall. Let me, wait a minute, hold up. So, he saw something and he got up but did not see it. She go back to bed. So, is Lena making these creepy faces something she's only showing to Simeon here? Is she gonna turn out to be the murderer? Good lord. I don't know. That'd be something though. She was already doing some bizarre faces previously. We still haven't unwrapped the culprit yet to figure out, you know, this Slavia mystery murder, apparently. So we still don't know who that is yet because that hasn't been revealed. I don't know. But even though I'm not really sure if that's the real Slavia or not, all I know is somebody was apparently dead, and they were supposed to investigate who was. They weren't sure who. And I kind of said, okay, maybe it could have been Miku or it could have been, you know, anybody. Lita would be the last person I think anybody would suspect of anything. But I think that's what would make it even more interesting is if it did turn out to be her because, boy, oh boy, would that be something. Well, it could be true that the heat got to be last. But it all seems to be exactly like that time. And it wasn't Lena. At the very least, it's not the Lena I knew, as if she's possessed by the devil. Maybe that's the case too. Could be. I don't know. I lay down and pulled a blanket over my head. I really wanted to sleep, but the realization that I might never wake up again if I fall asleep now was keeping me up and running. For some reason, this reminds me of Nightmare on Elm Street. It's like wanting to go to sleep but never wake up again. That's usually what happens, like in those movies, right? Freddy comes, kills them in their sleep. I don't know. I'm not sure how long I spent lying like that, trembling at every rustle, but eventually the door burst open and steps resounded in the room. Okay. I barely peered out from under the blanket and caught a glimpse of Alyssa and Masha entering with a bucket of water and some bags. I sent you, I see you went a bit cuckoo here. Yeah, sorta. How would you know if you did? Unless if they heard him. I don't know. I replied with a trembling voice, trying to flash a smile. Everything's okay. Seems like it. I glanced at Lena yet again, but she was still sleeping quietly. So there's definitely something going on with Lena. Maybe it was indeed just my imagination. I don't know. I mean, this is the second time we saw this face of hers, so I don't know. I'm wondering. It's I don't exactly know when this route's gonna come to an end, but like I said, it's actually gone a little longer than what I thought it was gonna go. But yeah, at the same time, it feels like it's a completely different game than this game, even though it's a part of this game here. But no, that was the second time we seen that face of hers. So I don't know. Maybe it's only something that he's seeing. I have no idea. But I'm gonna keep seeing where this is gonna go. I always say that's just the thing about it. You just never know, right? Sure, given a condition of such extreme emotional stress and physical fatigue, I might be seeing things. That could be too. But when you do that twice in a row, you see the same face. I doubt it. You're not going to be seeing things after that point, right? I got up with considerable effort, took a cup from the table, and scooped up some water. So what are we doing next? We'll have to stay here for now. But Olga has called the police. We haven't seen her, muttered Alyssa. Yeah, but everyone disappeared after that. Good point. In any case, until Lena comes to her senses. Although, if I ever happen to see her like that again, I would frankly rather that she doesn't wake up. I mean, yeah, when you think about it in those terms, yeah, I wouldn't blame you on that. Alyssa lay down on Lena's bed, and Masha sat down next to me. Aw, get some sleep. Can we cuddle? She gently stroked the top of my head. Can you really sleep with all this happening? We'll keep guard. You look really tired. I guess she was right. Okay, but just a nap. Wake me up before evening. She didn't say a word, just smiled instead. Promise? I promise, replied Masha quietly. Okay. I closed my eyes and instantly tumbled into a dream. Oh boy. Here they come again, the grasshoppers. Why is it always grasshoppers? That's what I want to know. This time it's their king, a huge swamp green monstrosity with really long curved legs, wings that would match the wingspan of a large airliner, and enormous pitch black eyes. He was hanging over me, grinning and spluttering something really loud. I still didn't understand anything of their language, but judging by the tone, it wasn't anything nice that you would hear on the morning news. I wanted to get away, but he clutched me tightly with his wrenched claw. I could hear my bones cracking, feel my ribs breaking, piercing my internal organs with the sharp splinters. I felt hundreds of hammers smashing inside my skull. My vision faded in the next moment. Fountains of blood and flesh were spraying all over the place. Oh boy. You must be having one hell of a nightmare there. And we're back at night again. I jumped up in a cold sweat. My own scream still reverberated in the room. It took me several seconds to clear the dimness from my eyes. I looked around frantically and realized that it was evening already, and it was completely dark outside. Good grief, we didn't turn off the light yesterday. Masha was lying asleep next to me while Rado was curled up on the floor. Lena was lying on the other bed, tightly wrapped in the blanket. Yet Alyssa was nowhere to be seen. Oh boy. Hey,
I woke Masha up with a few rough prods. What? She slowly came to her senses. Did I ask you? Sorry, I fell asleep. She had such a guilty expression on her face that I felt sick. I should have relied on her. At least I could have set up an alarm. I woke Router up. Where's Alyssa? I don't know, said Masha worriedly. Well, who does know? We were all asleep. Well, she was sleeping here and then. Her eyes darted around guiltily. And then you fell asleep. She hung her head and let out a heavy sigh. Oh, perfect. Just perfect. I patted my fist on the table, making Masha jump. Okay, you sit here. We'll go and find her. Hello? He just said come with him, right? So that would be alone, right? At least maybe that's what I thought he said there. Her face suddenly took on an expression of fright. Alone? Wasn't it you who told me that it's not worth panicking? Yeah, but it's not... Okay, fine, I'll go alone. But... Or do you really want to sit here with only Lena? Masha kept silent. It's dangerous to go alone. I noticed that Rada doesn't seem to have fully awakened. It's not dangerous for her to sit here all alone. You never know. We already saw a creepy-faced looking Lena there. I don't know. I thought that there was no point in arguing, so I got up, grabbed my trusty pipe, and headed for the door. In any case, given that people have been disappeared in the thin air, one can't feel safe anywhere or in any company. Of course, it still could turn out that Alyssa just went somewhere. To the toilet, for example. Okay. She would have been back by now, right? Although, given how frightened she looked, I guess she would have woken up Masha or just held it till morning. Damn, anything but going all alone through the camp. I braced myself, pulled the handle, and went outside. I swept my eyes across the landscape, and then... Are you kidding? I saw Alyssa. Well, this time, we're actually seeing a person here. Because you could, I don't know, if you're looking at it, you could definitely make out pigtails on the side a little bit. Compared to the other person who was lying down, I couldn't tell if that was Slobby. But maybe it was, I don't know. But looks like we're getting something else here. I don't know. Hanging high above the ground from the tree right in front of the cabin. My goodness. A sharp pain pierced my temples and I collapsed to the ground. My goodness. The horror was so overwhelming that I literally felt my whole body being bound in steel chains. Blinded with fear, I barely managed to crawl back into the cabin and close the door. What happened? Masha rushed over to me. Don't look. I grasped her arm. Don't go outside. What's the matter? She reached out for the door handle. I attempted to stop her, but I was so weak that I could only let out a groan of despair. Opening the door, Masha screamed and froze in her tracks. Gathering my last ounces of strength, I got up to take the door shut. Now, if Masha is just playing along with this, I should say Miku, if she's the one that turns out to be the killer in this whole thing, I will say that's brilliant writing on their part. You know, because I always say, like, sometimes the killer, something I always say, could be right under your nose and you wouldn't even know it, kind of thing. I don't know. But I would just say that's pretty good. If she's just kind of going along, just making it seem like, you know, she's concerned, and then it just turns out that she's just the culprit all along. That would be something, though. It's like okay, who came up with this concept or idea anyway? But until I could see otherwise, I'm just gonna have to play and see where it goes. The next moment, Masha fainted and fell back into my arms. I carried her to the bed and put down next to the shaking Router. His face told me that he's definitely not interested in knowing what happened out there. Oh, all these screams woke Lena up. She rose slightly in her bed and gave us a glance. Wow, Your eyes are pretty creepy even when it's like this. I would prefer if your eyes look a little bit different than like this because they look scary, I gotta say. I don't know. It's almost like the grin that she does. What's happening? She asked in a whisper. I didn't know how I should reply. I felt a scream rising up in my throat, but I managed to muffle it to a hollow sigh. Lena was horrified, but she still didn't realize what exactly happened here. Don't go outside, I moaned. Unlike Masha, she wasn't one to argue. Okay. An impressive silence ensued. Even the grasshopper seemed to quiet down in order to add suspense to the situation. Masha was still... Whoop! The hell? Masha was still lying on my lap, Ryder was quivered in the corner of the bed, and Lena was sitting in front of me with an expression of doom and despair on her face. I stood at the door with an unblinking gaze, waiting for the moment it will burst open, and my fear couldn't manifest in any concrete form. A homicidal maniac, a monster, an alien. It was the horror of the unknowable, darkness, and emptiness. And to think, I just started the original Resident Evil on the channel. That's kind of funny. Maybe it's kind of fitting that I kind of did that game. I don't know. I wasn't afraid that I would be torn to pieces just like Slavia, or I would become a zombie like Oyana. I was afraid to disappear, vanish without a trace of this world. Masha let out a quiet moan. I just had such a nightmare. Okay, it wasn't a dream. She opened her eyes wide and looked at me with horror. Then, there. Don't look. I shouted and hastily embraced her. Jeez. Lena started crying loudly, ran up and pressed herself against me, trembling all over. Good Lord. Long minutes dragged on in astonishing silence. So what are we going to do now? Asked Masha through her tears. She didn't seem so self-confident now. Although we were all in the same situation. Time passed, yet nothing happened. We had to make a decision. I couldn't say that I came back to my senses after what I saw, but I still felt my mind clearing up a bit. I knew one thing for certain. We can't stay here. And it wasn't because it was more dangerous here than anywhere else. It's just because I can't endure staying near the corpse of Alyssa. I guess not. I bet it's even more of a gut-wrenching experience for the girls. We have to go, I said quietly. I felt Masha and Lena hugging me even tighter. We have to. Ryder stopped shaking and left the bed. How are you feeling? I asked Lena. She said nothing. Can you walk? Probably. I gently escaped her embraces and got up. We have to run, all right? At night, it would be easier to go. But Masha tried to make a humble objection. Yeah, I know that we decided to stay, but now we have to get out of here. I turned to Ryder. You do realize that they shouldn't see all that. He gave a barely visible nod. Although Ryder didn't know what happened to Alyssa, it was obvious that his vivid imagination had conjured up so many gruesome theories during this time that he was probably even more depressed than me. Okay, we're going to hold hands and go. I'll go first and lead the way. Masha goes next, then later than you. I looked at the girls. They were sitting with their heads hanging down, sobbing quietly. Ready? Nobody replied. This was obviously a useless question. One could never be ready for such a situation. I took Masha's hand, turned around, and gave Lena and Ryder a serious look. Okay, now shut your eyes and don't open them no matter what. You got that? Yeah. Lena nodded. I steeled myself, burst open the door, went out, and holding Masha's hand. Watch out for the steps.